Alright, so I guess we're at part 2. I don't know how much longer I can do this. I'm starting to get aggravated in my back. Spasms kicking. Incidentally, I should tell you today I had a flex sigmoid, and they don't really tell you that a biopsy means they're taking little chunks of your internals out of you. Here's what they did with this little grabber inside my colon. The problem is, as she stated, that there's no motility in there, so anything that goes down there just sits down there, and now of course it's rubbing against these little cuts they created, and they don't consider that. They just want to get their samples. She said it wasn't anything. It looked irritated, but it didn't look like anything she recognized. It wasn't cancer or anything. But they want to get their little chunks so they can play in their lab with it. Who cares if they end up cutting your insides up, or if these cuts become worse because of the stuff sitting down there. That's just present time. Let me go back to, I went to my mom's. Environment there was not so great because my mom is already sick. Not able to function much. Post-polio syndrome. Let me go back. Still in a lot of fear at my mom's about the spasm. When I first got there, I had been in a lot of fear. My dad and my sister were there, and they left. And I'm just kind of laying there in bed, and I think I was talking to a friend, and he was trying to encourage me that things would get better, and I started getting a little better attitude about it, and got on some more Ativan, and noticed that it slowed down a lot. And it stopped for just a brief period of time. I remember it stopping. I remember having a warm feeling in the bottom left, my pelvis, and my neck, the right side of my neck, felt so relaxed, felt so good. I think it stopped for about a minute, or 30 seconds even, and it just picked back up. The thing about it is nowadays, I know it's going constantly. I don't feel it as much until it gets bad. And by then it affects other things. I get tense, and the other part of my back hurts, but just going back, a lot of terror at my mom's, just not knowing what was going to happen. I didn't think I could work. I was thinking I took half my money out of my stock account, put it in my bank account, and I was thinking about calling up about the car, saying I couldn't make payments. How was I gonna, sustain myself? I started. He told me to go on low fiber diet. High fiber diet. So I eating fruits and vegetables and taking the laxatives. I stayed at my mom's for about 2 weeks. So she said I couldn't stay there anymore. She couldn't handle me waking her up at night, or I don't know. She couldn't my suffering. So, I'm sorry. I'm doing this after the first part, and I'm kind of losing my storytelling ability. Probably wasn't that hot to begin with. I remember at some point at my mom's, I realized that when I would start shaking my leg, either one, although now it's mainly just the left one, the spasm would slow down. It was more comfortable. So, well, the Ativan also slowed it down some. So I was taking a couple of Ativan a day, shaking my leg, get it to slow down, sleeping when I could, sleeping like 2-3 hour clips, or the spasm would wake me back up. I noticed that it seemed strong. It got weak at one point. I think I got it to stop 2 times originally, and one time it's hard to tell. I think I had got it to stop, and then it was real weak, and I went to sleep thinking it would die away over the night, and I woke up and it was stronger. I'm beginning to get bloated. My lower left. I became afraid to eat. I went and saw the gastro who got the pieces of flesh from me today. And I went to the gastro, and she stuck her finger up there and said, well, if your internal anal sphincter was spasming, I would have felt it when I stuck my finger up there. So I immediately had a sense of relief because I was wrong on my diagnosis. And I thought, well, maybe she pointed to a muscle above there that looked like it was in the colon. I thought, well, maybe that's the muscle that's spasming, and it's just a smooth muscle. And all I have to do is go home and take some dicyclamine, and the smooth muscle will stop spasming. I was a little relieved. I was a little hopeful. I was hopeful. I was like, oh, I'm going to live to be 70 years old. Go home and get this spasm to stop. I went home and took the dicyclamine and realized that it was an actual muscle that was spasming. And eventually, my time frame is a little off, but one of the times I did get this was one of the times I got it to stop briefly. Well, it's hard to really tell if I really did get it to stop because I don't remember that warm feeling or my neck, but it seemed like I got it to stop. I reached right next to my anus and I started thinking, well, maybe it's this muscle here, which is your levator ani muscle. I started like massaging in there, and I'm thinking, yeah, that feels like something there. And I remember reading somewhere about Kegel exercises, so I stood up and started doing some Kegel exercises, and it felt like it stopped. I got it to stop. I realized at that point that it was a levator ani muscle. So I started looking up. The whole time, of course, I'm looking up Cipro and seeing all the awful stuff that it does, and looked up levator ani syndrome, which I thought that's what I have, which isn't the case, but that's what I thought then.